Hello boys and girls, my name is Rozalия Евгеньевна and welcome to English grammar lesson, and today we're going to talk about relative clauses in English language. Okay, and let's begin with the definition of a clause. So clause is a group of words containing a verb, and relative clause is a part of a complex sentence where we have main clause and relative clause. Let's look at example. The man was my uncle, this is the main clause, and who came for lunch, this is relative clause. One more example here. Last year I went to Paris, this is main clause, and which is the capital of France, this is relative clause. So, relative clauses in English language are a way of giving more information about something that we have already mentioned. And guys, pay attention please that relative clause can come after the main clause or between the main clause. Okay, there are two kinds of relative clauses in English language, defining and non-defining. Okay, and let's begin with the first one. So, what are defining relative clauses? So, let's look at example. The woman who lives next door is a doctor. Okay, here the clause who lives next door is defining relative clause because it identifies which woman I'm talking about. And if I ask a question, which woman is a doctor, our relative clause answers it, the woman who lives next door. Okay, let's look at one more example here. Finn has lost the t-shirt that his mother gave him. Okay, here the clause that his mother gave him tells us which t-shirt Finn has lost. T-shirt that his mother gave him. Okay, and now if we remove the clause and try to read the sentence, Finn has lost the t-shirt. Can you understand now the sense? And answer this question, which t-shirt? I guess not. So, defining relative clause adds essential information to a sentence, and if we remove the clause, the sentence doesn't make sense. Okay, let's focus on form now. So, each relative clauses are made with noun plus relative pronoun plus rest of clause, and each relative clause start with relative pronoun like who, which, when, where, and whose. And let's look at each of them. We met a woman who is a wildlife photographer. We met a woman who. So, who is used for people. The photos which she takes appear in magazines. The photos which. So, which is used for things. I remember the day when we first met. The day when. So, when is used for time. These plants grow in countries where the weather is hot. So, in countries where. Where is used for places. The man whose phone I found gave me a reward. So, the man whose phone. Whose is used to express possession. Okay, let's sum up. Who for people, which for things, when for time, where for places, and whose for possession. Okay, in defining relative clause, you can use that instead of who or which, like this. We met a woman who is a wildlife photographer. You can say like this. We met a woman that is a wildlife photographer. Okay guys, pay attention that these two variants are equal and you can use them in English language without any difference. One more example here. The photos which she takes appear in magazines. You can say like this. The photos that she takes appear in magazines. Okay guys, and now I want to show you a short video how defining relative clauses are used in English language.
Hey Days, you remember that Mum was talking about putting videos up on her blog?
Yeah.
Well, she's got the first one up. It looks pretty cool.
Oh, right. Where is she at the moment? Peru, isn't it?
I think she's in Bolivia now, but the video's from yesterday, when she was on the Peruvian side of Lake Titicaca.
Okay, let's have a look. Hi everyone. Today I'm visiting the floating Uros Islands on Lake Titicaca. The people who live here have had the same kind of lifestyle for hundreds of years. The amazing thing about these islands is that they are man-made and made out of plants. The islanders pick the tall reeds that grow at the sides of the lake and use them to make the islands.
Okay, guys. And now we go on to non-defining relative clauses. So what are they? Let's look at example again. David's mother, who was born in Mexico, is my Spanish teacher. So here the clause who was born in Mexico is non-defining relative clause because it doesn't answer the question which mother is my Spanish teacher, because David has only one mother. Instead, non-defining relative clause adds extra information about David's mother. So she was born in Mexico. And if we remove the clause, we can understand the sense. David's mother is my Spanish teacher. Okay, in non-defining relative clause, we can't use that instead of who or which. For example, my friend's birthday, which was last weekend, was great fun. If you try to say that was last weekend, it is a mistake because we can't use that in non-defining relative clause. And one thing that you should know about non-defining relative clause is commas. We separate non-defining relative clause from the rest of the sentence. For example, Rachel, comma, who we met yesterday, comma, lives in this neighborhood. Don't forget about it. Okay, guys, and now I want to show you a video how non-defining relative clauses are used in English language.
The islands are kind of bouncy to walk on, but they're pretty strong. The Euros people make fires, which they use for cooking. Okay, there's a house made of reeds, but that grey thing, which you can see on the roof there, isn't very traditional. That's a solar panel. Technology gets to every corner of the world nowadays.
Okay, and let's look at relative pronouns once again. So, relative pronouns can refer to subject or object of the main clause. And if relative pronoun refers to subject, we have the following word order, pronoun plus verb. That is the man that who stole my money. That is the dog which that attacked me the other night. And if relative pronoun refer to object of the main clause, we have the following word order, relative pronoun plus subject plus verb, like this. That is the girl who that he likes. Do you like the song? Which that I like. They introduced me to John, who I like. And guys, in this case, with defining relative clause, you can omit the pronoun. That is the girl he likes. Do you like the song? I like. But you can't do it with a non-defining relative clause. For example, you can't say like this, they introduced me to John, I like. That is a mistake. You should always use relative pronoun in non-defining relative clauses. Okay, guys, and now let's compare defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay, so in defining relative clauses, you should always use commas. For example, the people who live here have had the same kind of lifestyle for hundreds of years. You shouldn't use commas here. And defining relative clause adds necessary information to a sentence, and if you remove the clause, the sentence doesn't make sense. Okay, with non-defining relative clause, you should use commas, and this clause adds extra information, and if you remove the clause, the sentence still makes sense, like this. That grey thing, which you can see on the roof there, isn't very traditional. Do you remember? This is an example from the video. Okay, next. In defining relative clause, we can use that instead of who or which. For example, the islanders pick the tall reeds which or that grow at the sides of the lake. The people who or that live here. But you can't use that instead of who or which in non-defining relative clauses, like this. That grey thing, which you can see on the roof there, but not that you can see. Remember this, please. Okay, and in non-defining relative clause, relative pronouns can be omitted when they are followed by subject plus verb. like this. That is the girl who that he likes. I can say that is the girl he likes. But we can't omit the pronoun in non-defining relative clause. For example, they introduced me to John, who I liked immediately. We can't say, John, I like immediately. Don't forget about it. Okay, guys, and now practice time. So, your task is to define where is defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Let's look at the first sentence. My favorite food, which used to be Italian, is now Japanese. What is it? Okay, and you're absolutely right. This is not defining relative clause because it adds extra information about my favorite food. Okay, next one. I remember the day when we first met. Yes, of course, it's defining relative clause because it answers the question, which day I remember. Next one. My car, which I bought 7 years ago, needs replacing. What is this? Yes, of course, it's not defining relative clause because, guys, you have a hint here. Don't forget, do you see commas? Yes, and this is not defining relative clause. Okay, next sentence. My best friend who I met at university is coming for dinner. Yes, again, it's non-defining relative clause here. And the last example, these are the earrings that my mother gave me. What is this? Yes, it's defining relative clause because it answers the question, which earrings are these? And it is necessary information. Okay, now we go on. Your task is to choose the appropriate relative pronoun here. Okay, the first sentence. My uncle Alexei, who that is a farmer, brings us fresh fruit. What is it? Yes, of course, it's who, because who refers to people, and we have here Uncle Alexei. The Amazon rainforest, where is very important for the planet, is in serious danger. What is it? Yes, of course, it's which, because which is used for things, and Amazon rainforest we have here. The air in the city, where there is too much traffic, is full of smoke. What is this? Yes, of course, where, because we have place in the main clause, in the city. The man who started the forest fire was never found. Yes, it's who, because we have man here. My sister, whose job is to look after the tigers, gave me some tickets to the zoo. What is this? Yes, of course it's whose, because my sister whose job and whose is used to express possession. And your last task for today, choose the extra word. Nick gave me a book which it is about the wild animals in Russia. What is this, guys? Yes, and you're right. It is an extra word because in this clause we already have which that refers to things in the main clause, book. I saw some children who they were feeding the dogs in the park. What is an extra word here? Yes, it's they, because we already have here who that refers to people in the main clause. They are the people that I saw them putting their rubbish in the lake. What is this now? Yes, them here is an extra word because again we already have relative pronoun here, that. That is the hotel where my parents and I stayed there last month. What is it? Yes, we have here there, and this is an extra word because we already have place and relative pronoun of place here, like where and the hotel. Okay, guys, that is all for today. Thank you for joining this lesson.